Honorable Chuks Akuna
Yes,
and
Honorable.
Chief Izocha Nze. Thank you, gentlemen, and welcome.
It's a very beautiful. Today is the first day of December.
Yes.
Happy New Month.
You're happy at least.
Very, very happy. Extremely happy.
Grinding gradually towards the end of the year.
Yes.
Okay, to God be the glory. So let's move on now with the Authority newspaper. That's your paper, and it's laden with FCT, how non-resettlement of natives fuels crisis, or crimes rather, slums a safe haven for criminals. Of course, the picture of the president there in a handshake, I believe that will be at the COP. Okay, so you have other stories. Halt hostilities against Igbos, Ohaneze tells Tinubu Sanwo-Olu, and that's on page 3 of the paper. The Daily Times, hardship, poverty ravaging the land, number of mad persons, others in suicide mode rising in Lagos, and this is credited to Rwani. Ordinary Nigerians uninterested in federal government's budgetary mathematics, he says what they want are lower prices of foodstuff and services. Quite apt there. And then you have how Sokoto is tackling insecurity using community guards on page 5 of the paper. All right, the Nigerian pilot is laden with food scarcity to hit 94 million Nigerians. And federal government raises alarm, says 94 million Nigerians will face food scarcity in December 2023. And December is here already. Quite scary there. On page 8, federal government reiterates commitment towards local government autonomy. And that's on page 5. And then this Nigeria brainstorm on how best to fight crime. Wike charges military on page 7. Then 88.5 million Nigerians face insufficient food consumption. FG raises alarm over 80% surge in food importation on page 19 of the paper. The Leadership Friday, we lost 200 billion naira to CBN naira redesign policy. That's coming from poultry farmers. Statistics there coming from that sector. And then you have both mishaps. Waterways Authority blamed for 911 deaths. Stakeholders decry avoidable casualties as NEWA's regulatory lapses persist. The Daily Asset, Senate summons Alake worries over illegal mining. Then COP28, Tinubu holds productive meeting with King Charles in Dubai. Let's check out the Daily Sun now. HIV/AIDS, Nigeria has achieved 94, 90, 96 of the global 95, 95, 95. That's coming from UNAIDS targets. That's coming from government actually, as meeting that target of the UN AIDS. Okay, you have 2024 budget, House of Reps talks tough, says only MDAs with judicious use of 2023 allocation will get funds. Standard Times, the COP28 summit, Tinubu meets King Charles in Dubai, sets to strengthen Nigeria-UK partnership, and then Kanu court remands a woman who attacked husband for chatting with girlfriends. We have the Nigerian News Direct now, January to December budget cycle, inflation to blame for poor implementation of 2023 budgets. That's coming from governors' appeal to lawmakers to hasten approval of 2024 budgets on page 22 of the paper. AFDB predicts slow economic growth for oil-dependent countries, revises Africa's economic growth projections on page 9. All right, The Guardian, as usual, is coming with graphical illustration of the story, and it says, amid ravaging scourge, HIV cure vaccine still elusive 42 years on. And that's talking about the International Day for AIDS, which has been celebrated today. It's a big story. Graphical illustrations, 1.9 million Nigerians living with HIV AIDS as of 2022. And then you have $750 million, of course, donor agencies have spent this amount on the same fight against AIDS. The Nigerian Tribune, 80% surge in food importation, alarming. That's coming from federal government. Food inflation stood at 31.52% in October, says Nigeria has the highest rate of stunted children globally. Not quite good news there. On page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune, and then it's also having this as this part of the stories. 2024 budget, reps call for fiscal responsibility, public service reform. The Daily Trust, 9 months after Lagos Airport International Runway remains closed. And then how to get 2024 budget right, coming from Economist. Nigerian nurse in UK sacked, deported over prayer for dying patient. Okay, you have the New Telegraph now. No ex-governor with corruption cases will escape a probe. That's EFCC talking tough there. Says its core mandate remains, and Senate will involve anti-graft body in CBN 250 billion naira gas funds probe. Stay at home. Okay, we can flip back there, but that would have just been interesting to look at that story. We look at this day now. NERC, stakeholders seek dedicated funding to meet massive investment gap in power. Discourse lists illiquidity, forest scarcity as factors hindering mass metering. And then NAS begins debate on Tinubu's 27.5 trillion budget with details of fiscal document. Debt service for 2024 is a 16x poverty war chest. What does that mean? You can pick up the paper. It's a Business Day story there. Japa hurricane crumbling Nigeria's health care. CBN's proposed capital raise for banks seen boosting foreign investment. And that's the last paper we'll be throwing up this morning, gentlemen. Let's look at the stories. Authority, should we begin with you? How non-resettlement of natives fuels crimes, slums a safe haven for criminals.
Yes, I mean, the story is self-explanatory. If you recall, I mean, if you noticed, we're spending for 2024, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is projecting about 12% of our national budget to fight insecurity. And I mean, insecurity is gulping more than education and healthcare combined. So it goes to show you how important or how much of a problem insecurity is becoming in Nigeria. And of course, there are several factors, but when he promised to rid the city center of slums, but as we speak, it remains a tall order. And then so the authority decided to investigate why. You see, don't forget that when Abuja was created, Abuja had what you call the aborigines. That's the original owners of the land. And part of the agreement is to resettle them. You resettle them because you don't just come, take a man's land, take everything, take his heritage. People like us, I know where my grandfather's grave is. I know where my father's grave is, you understand? But some of these people from the natives of the FCT, we keep promising to relocate them. And, this has become promises upon promises. Because now, so what people are doing is, because of the proximity, because we've taken the development to their villages and have refused to settle them. All the areas mapped out for resettlement, the government has failed to provide infrastructure there. So where does that leave us? If you go to Utako, you will see a village there. Asokoro here, you see a village. Everywhere you go, you see villages. And because of insecurity around contiguous states of the FCT, people come from Bauchi, people come from Plateau, people are displaced in Kaduna, the Northeast. When they come to Abuja, they cannot afford decent accommodation. So they move into this, and then these natives too, of course, they are poor. So people come and offer them mouth-watering monies, So they give out their places or convert their houses for rent. So you find out that most of these people who are not profiled, they come and mingle with these natives. And these natives, because of lack of what to do. You know, they used to be farmers, they used to be, but of course, the farmers have been taken from them. Then these people have come from far and near and are living with them. So you find out that people like the one chance persons, several persons have now mingled with these natives. So much so that Abunde has become a hotbed of insecurity. Just like on Tuesday, the FCT Police Command paraded 47 suspected criminals. So what is the way out? Government, in as much as you're talking about insecurity, you should, because it's pain versus gain. If you don't provide the enabling environment for crime to thrive, crime will not thrive. So what is keeping us from resettling these natives? I understand that infrastructure have not been provided. There's a place called Wasa. Yeah, there are places in Papi where government has earmarked for resettlement. But I think apart from Apo Resettlement Village, no other serious resettlement is taking place in the FCT. So government has to stop.
You are calling out on the federal, on the FCT minister now.
Because
really,
because they should stop paying lip service to settling these natives, because it's also bringing another problem. They are also exasperated that what is going on. Are we less Nigerian than the others? You've taken our lands, taken everything. Resettle us, provide infrastructure, build roads, provide water, provide power, so that they can also move there and also live decently. Because most of them too are not living and are not enjoying the slums that is building up around them.
And it's quite scary what is happening, really, because the way people all these criminals are even moving around and snatching people's bags for and all that. The so-called FCT, chance vehicle. In fact, to even take public transport now is quite scary because of what is going on.
And the moment they rob, they attack people, they just go and melt into the
even
slums.
the one that they call Keke Marua, which we actually thought is the safest now. And I was surprised. One girl told me yesterday she was attacked on an open vehicle people could actually see what's going on there.
Last month I was driving around Tama on the expressway, and they pushed out a lady from a moving vehicle. She was screaming. But, we tried, gave hot pursuit, but of course, they disappeared. So it's
quite scary.
Yes.
And then when you live side by side with us, the distinction is so glaring. It's
so glaring.
On the one side of the city,
like
you're having rich men.
So much affluence.
And then on the other side, you're saying,
So earmark money and push these people, settle them, let them also have decent accommodation. You put infrastructure, put roads.
So they will also be able to identify when a foreigner comes in that doesn't belong to that place that want to foment trouble.
Exactly.
All right, so let's come to you now. Of course, Chuks had done this. Is their story, so I understand that he's able to explain all of that. But there are two stories that I want you to weave together now, and that is hardship, poverty ravaging the land, number of mad persons, others in suicide mode rising in Lagos. That's related to Rwanda. Then you have food scarcity to hit 94 million Nigerians. This seems to be, stories, one linking with the other.
Yeah, I thumb up Daily Times. I think it is Daily Times that came up with that report. Putin, Rwanda, I think is...
Standard Times?
Rwanda, yes. Yeah. You see, and like you said, it's also interwoven with the alarm being raised by the federal government. I'm very happy that it is the federal government that is raising this alarm.
And that's another thing that's a paradox for me.
If the alarm had come from maybe this
PDP
or the PDP
maybe from
or Labour Party or people who have seen things the way they are going, they will issue a statement tomorrow and say it's a false alarm. But it's good that it is coming from them. You see, the rate at which the country is going, this number of mad persons or people committing suicide will continue to rise. Regrettably. Because we all have homes we are managing. We all know how we are managing our homes. We all know the pains. We all know how we feel about things moving on in this country. People are suffering in this country. But Nigeria is not supposed to be a country where its citizens should face this type of situation. This is a country that is endowed, that is blessed. We are talking of oil, 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 oil. Do you know that this country is thick in solid minerals? The government is facing oil, oil, while individuals are making more than what the government is making from oil. Individuals are making it illegally from solid minerals. We're talking of 94 point something million people to face
facing hunger.
hunger.
And they say it's December.
And it's in December. And I'm telling you that
supposed to be a festive period where people should be.
This number that came from the federal government is less than the reality. How many people can afford, how many families can afford 3 square meal in a day, 2 square meal in a day? The authority just came up with non-resettlement causing crime. It's not only that. They said an idle mind is the devil's workshop. And there are families there are people that cannot afford to put one meal on the table, and they have families to take care of. While we are talking of families not meeting up because of the hardship in the country, federal government has come out with some palliative measures, which we are yet to see. These people we are talking about...
It's no longer in the news again.
That is why we say...
How many states
can come out to say they implemented the palliative program to the letters? You will see allegations and counter-accusations and counter-accusations. Today I read where a political party was accusing a state government of rebagging palliative rights, waiting for next election campaign. You see, the devil, the evil in governance is what is causing all this. A country where more than 100 million cannot feed, families cannot feed. We said 25, the government said it will give 25,000 naira to they call it poorest of the poor. Where is the money? They have said students' loan. Where is the money? They have said how many hundred of bags of rice, maize, grain that they have brought out. How was it distributed?
The students' loan, they said it will start in January. Based on the budget, I said.
We are waiting. The same way they told us that refineries will be functional in December. This is December. You see, when you are operating in a country where the leaders don't tell the people they are leading the truth, things will continue to move this way. No, this country, our leaders should know that we are in a democracy. And we cannot talk about democracy in any clime without what we call dividends. It is only in Nigeria that democracy thrives without dividends. Regrettably, democracy in Nigeria thrives without dividends. A budget has been tabled before the National Assembly. We are watching how it will be scrutinized. 2023 budget, how was it implemented? 2 different supplementary budgets approved. Where is the implementation? You see, when we are just staying in a country where you wake up, where you are in government, you are in National Assembly, you are a minister, you are a House of Reps man, you are a House of Assembly man, these are the people that are Nigerians. These are the people that are Nigerians. Tomorrow you hear of a probe, this, Senate probe, House does this, this one. Have we ever seen where we can come out to say, these are the reports? That is why we'll continue to see this number, alarming number of people dying of lack of food to eat in a country where it is not supposed to be so.
Now, this is food we are talking about, really. And I'm wondering what happens to other basic needs like housing, you know, for people who cannot feed, to have a decent accommodation, to be able
about food,
to pay their bills.
See, when you talk about food,
and all that.
You're talking about cassava. Rice is not even included, because rice is now luxury. Just like turkey, you know turkey. I once read about a British farmer who raises 7 million turkeys. If you have a friend, he's a colleague, he raised 25 turkeys. He couldn't sell 25 turkeys in Abuja.
Because nobody is buying.
Yes, because they feel that it's luxury. You understand? So it shows
they
how...
feel like, or the amount shows it's luxury.
Yes, that's it. It shows people just want to eat, people want to put palm oil in water and dip gari or fufu in it.
If it is available.
If it's available. And it's not even available. Look at the story from Plateau. We were talking about the political crisis in Plateau, Nasarawa, Zamfara, and Kano. Because you see, all these issues are interwoven. Because you see, nothing kills than when people become hopeless. I think I've said this here before. I once met a man from Edo State who told me that he was traveling to Europe and he was arrested in Italy, in Libya, and he was, he got caught in the crisis in Libya and he returned. But he has come to save money to go back to Italy. He doesn't mind dying in the sea, at sea. So I asked him why. He said, Oga, I tell you, let me, your opinion. He said, if to say hope dead, like saying just feel say one day things go better, in for stay. He said, but you don't look the next 30, 40 years. Say he prefer me go die. If he died, they're better for them. So what's the difference? So it shows you how despondent, how hopeless it have become. Like as Ezocha said, like he said, in the early 2000s, as reporters, every day when politicians talk, they say dividends of democracy. But now no politician talks about dividends of democracy because there is none. You spoke about solid minerals. As we speak, the political crisis in Nasarawa State is reportedly being fueled by a few persons' desire to hold down the state under the guise of producing certain things and then exploiting. They've come to the state and pretending that they want to farm there. They get large swathes of land. But actually, those lands have huge amounts of precious minerals, which they are mining, with the connivance of the state government. And they feel that should the baton of leadership change in Nasarawa State, they'll be exposed. They'll be exposed. You understand? So they're spending their last resources, their money, because they have plenty of money. Mm-hmm. You understand? We see their trucks every day. They haul these minerals from Nasarawa State. The plate number, no registration, no number, nothing. The people of the state are crying. Look at Plateau State, the same problem. Yesterday, there was a report today that 7 persons were killed, over 1,000 cattle rustled. You see, when people feel that there is no direction in political leadership, they resort to self-help. Because crime is self-help, anyhow you say it. The people we have thought were going to help to arbitrate, they become businessmen, merchants. I'm talking about the judiciary now. They become, because if you look at what's going on, you see, there's no society that can exist without law and order. A society should be able to predict that, okay, if you steal, the jail term is XYZ years. If you do this, the fine is this. If you do this, you understand? Electoral offense, this, you understand? But we've seen people who did not win elections, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 men are forcing them on the people. So those who feel that should they vote this man as governor, that this man will do well and improve their lot, now the judiciary has truncated their hope. So those guys are saying, well, what difference does it make? Judges are now being accused of collecting monies to give Chankara judgments in Plateau, in Kano, in Enugu, in Imo, everywhere you go around, Zamfara, everywhere you go about. All right. It is the same story. So people are very, very angry. People are very, very disgruntled and said, no, this cannot continue. Because you see, if we cease to have a country, there won't be courts. There won't be judges. We're all in this together. There won't even be anybody. There won't be anybody. There won't be AIT. There won't be anybody.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so let's quickly touch on this before we go. You talked about illegal mining and how people are raking in at the expense of the people, other people and government. One of the papers is talking about Senate summoning Alake, the Minister of Mines and Steel Development, because of worry over illegal mining. Do you think, that would help in addressing some of the issues you raised here?
You see, it's just like as if we're having a telepathy or something like that. You see, in a country where a section of this country has oil, some families have oil at their backyard, and the land belongs to that family. Yes. And government came and said, these are now government
property.
I don't know why such orders should not reflect on other parts of this country. If you come to the southeast, I am from Ngopala local government area. We produce oil in my local government, but there is no dividend, no sign to show that the part of Ngopala, Umekune, Obokwe, Oboro, I can name them, that started with, in those days, with Ajip. But you cannot see road. I am telling you, if you said you are moving, this is Christmas period we are approaching, you want to travel to these communities, I wonder how you will do it. But these are communities that produce oil. This oil, just as in Bayelsa, in Akwa Ibom, in Rivers, is the property of who? Federal government. But if you go to Kogi State, if you go to Zamfara State, if you go to Niger State, if you go to Nasarawa State, individuals are milking from what is supposed to be federal government property. Yeah. What is supposed to be treated the way oil is treated in the south.
So there needs to
Why is it like that?
There needs to be serious
I think now that federal government has created Ministry of Solid Minerals and Dela Lake is there, I think what is good to, what was done to south should also be implemented in the north, because these solid minerals are not personal properties.
Yes.
And they are supposed to be properties of the federal government. And if well harnessed, if it is taken away from all these big men who have used the opportunity because they want to continue to control the solid minerals, they are instigating crisis, political crisis, upturning judgments, upturning the wills of the people, the mandate people gave to others, because they don't want to leave what they are turning and what they are getting illegally. Right. I think federal government should make a move and treat solid minerals the way oil was
being treated. After all, they are all natural, natural resources. All right, thank you, gentlemen, for your time.